Okay, good afternoon. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. I am doing, I think, Ben, is this our fourth coaching session?
Is it four now? I believe so.
I believe so. Wow, that didn't look too good. Let's see if we can get that reloaded here real quick because that was just all not good. Let's close this. That one didn't like to load. Let's try this one. There we go. So I'm Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. If you'd like to visit our room, or as Ben can tell you, lots of good stuff going on there. Well worth the money invested in terms of the education and the opportunities provided. Tradeandperform@gmail.com. Email me and ask for a free 3-day trial, and I am more than happy to give you a pass to the room. So, Ben, first thing I want to start off with, any areas of, can you tell me where you had the most difficulty this past week and where you had the most success too? Because we want to move both those lines, both the
Right.
C game and the A game. So let's start with the C game, and then let's go to
Okay.
the A game, and we'll talk about that, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So the spot that occurred today, and it's definitely happened before, is when like I said, I'm making errors. Is we're in basically a trend day or some kind of continuation, where we're nowhere near the low, but it doesn't appear to be ready to reverse. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I shouldn't be looking for a short here. And then I find what looks like a setup that would work if we were at the lows, like a reverse, like a long setup that would work. Yeah, if you had been coming off of a down rotation, and I'm getting long way too late, and it gets immediately stuffed. And like I
Can you
said, it
give me
doesn't
a
happen a lot,
specific?
but I
Can you give me a
notice when
specific?
it does,
Can
it's
you give me a
yeah, it's
specific?
problematic.
Can you give me a specific example?
Yeah, this one was in ES. Let me pull this up. What was the actual time? So this was today was in ES at like 12:50 or so. 12 like yeah, between, let's see. Find out. I don't know if I can get the exact time. It was before 12:34. 12:34. There
Your
was
time? Your time or my time?
your time.
12:34 my time. So okay, so set me up again. We're right here,
Let's see.
approximately. We're right at the
I'm
hot.
on 5 tick. Are you on 5 tick
I'm on
on
6 tick.
ES?
I'd recommend you jump up one, but we'll boot it down to a 5 tick.
Okay. Well, that might be part of the
I'll
problem.
move mine
That
to a
might be one
five
of the
tick.
reasons.
Let's look at what you were looking at instead of what I'm looking
Okay.
at, and then we'll show you what it looked like on a 6 tick. That one
Yeah.
tick makes a lot of difference in lowering the amount of information your brain's feeding you. So let's go look at it
Okay.
again. So 12:34 is approximately right in this area. So are we getting long or short?
Long in this point, because like I said, we've been long, for a while. We've been above the wave to the low.
Okay. So let's get clear on what the wave to the low rules are, and then
Okay.
we'll go from there. So originally, okay, so there's two ways to measure the wave to the low, and then there's an absolute way to measure the wave to the low. The hold on, let me see what my dog is going to hold up. No, come here. Excuse me a second. Bring that over here, Coco. Hold on a second. Coco. No, one more than that. Hold on, let me get my dog out of here.
Yeah, no problem at all. Like I said,
Come on,
I'm
Coco.
already.
Come on, Coco. So the dog is fast, right? So I kick him out of one end of the office, but then I have to run all the way to the other end of the office and close the garage on the other end. He'll just scoots around and beats me to the punch.
Yep,
So
my cat's the same way, very sneaky and
okay,
noisy.
So let's talk about this, right? And
Okay.
waves
Okay.
to the low and not waves to the low. So,
Right.
and let's set up the picture, right? So the first thing you should be looking at when you look at ES and what I would like you doing, okay? So you got to always balance it. Hey, I'm under pressure to, I'm going to pull up ES. I'm under pressure to pull up trades. Okay. So where you want your
Right.
trade to set up for today is you want to get underneath 45.61. That was your highest odds location, like where we came in at the close.
Yes.
That was your highest odds location. So what you're doing is playing where you're the first thing is where you're taking that long is in the middle of today's
Yeah.
range, right?
True.
It's
True.
so you got to remember you got to if you just draw this through. So you
Yeah.
were at 64, is that right?
I think so. Yeah. 60. Higher than that. It was higher than that.
Why don't you pull up the
It was
price so we have it?
74.
Okay, so you were long into 74 right here.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And like I said, expecting that we were making a slight pullback, and we're gonna and was on the way to make another move higher.
Okay, so the whole point of having these structures of where your high odds trades are coming from
Right.
is because once you get underneath these levels, you have a good chance of capturing a nice counter rotation. So there's
Okay.
two things you could have done, right? On this chart, we're showing you the 45.61. The other places you could have looked for a setup off of the, and I know you caught this 45.51.50 right here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The NQ.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no, on the ES, didn't you catch the 45.51 to 45.59?
41.51. Let's see. I think I did. Was that earlier or
Yeah, you
later?
told me it was earlier and you caught it.
Earlier. Yeah. No. Earlier I did. Yes. I was
Uh,
gonna say. Yeah.
Okay,
Earlier I did.
so you're also getting long into the prior day's points of control, right? So on that trade you
Yeah.
messed
You're
up.
right.
So this is like a no trade zone for us,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And I need to put something on there because I know that that's a rule that I'm not supposed to break, and it's just it needs to be on my chart.
Okay, so
That's
it does, and don't punish yourself for it so we can learn from it, right?
right.
You don't know whether it's going to reject, accept, and you come from a background where momentum generally pays you, right? And you
Yeah.
see Yankees
Right.
grinding up all day, and you're like, hey, this is going to pay huge, right? When in reality, you set yourself up right in front of a 30-point
Yeah.
rotation down, right? Which is really
Yep.
painful. Okay, so how do we fix that? Is the only question we have to ask, right?
Right. Right.
How do we fix that? That's the only question that we're interested in. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to show you a couple of examples of trades we took long today. So it's important. So it's not important that I just teach you, but that we have a method for training your brain. Okay,
Hmm.
so you're going to have a journal called High Odds Location Journal, and all that journal is going
Okay.
to say is. So first, let's look at Russell. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. We
today,
got a good one in Russell earlier too.
absolutely, I know you did, but so look at Russell this morning. So anything below the green, if it sets up on
Hmm.
process, bingo. So this starts at 4:30 in the morning. So remember, we're just looking at this and going, oh, I've got location. Let me go to the algo and get set up.
Yeah.
So rotation one, this is the first rotation we caught in the morning up. This
Yeah.
was the second rotation. And then I believe we caught one more rotation right down here. And then it rolled over
Got
and
it.
never gave us, like, it was just too late in the day to take the Russell setups. And you're going to go, well, it ended up being trend day down. That's true. But underneath each of these locations gave fantastic trades. So now you take these areas, um,
Yeah.
and then come over here. And so look at our Russell chart, right? Right here. Okay, so I'm going to superimpose those levels
Yeah.
on this so you can see them. Okay, so that
Yeah. And
came
that.
off
Yeah.
of
This is the solution.
chart number 19.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so
Neat.
on chart,
Okay.
so here we are from this morning, and I'm going to go through the trades we took and we didn't take. So first of all, that was right down to the low, right out of the gate at 8:43. This just came
Yeah.
down to value area low. So just go through the process, right? This is a no demand. I'm gonna put the
Yep.
so this works, right? No demand, algo with a diamond on top. That's
Yeah.
that's $1,000 for every two contracts, right there.
Yep. And
Very
in my repertoire, so I can take that trade.
right. So remember, there's a bunch of green on there, so everyone knows these are
Right.
this green is the initial balance. The green line's down here. So here, let me change the initial balance so that let me take off the initial balance so no one gets
Sure.
confused for a second. Okay, so there's the initial balance removed. And then this is, excuse me, I apologize. Okay, so there's the first trade. Now, here's our next trade right over here, right? At 957. So remember, in order to look for great shorts, so this works two ways. Our excellent shorts were way up here. This is the territory we were looking for swing shorts, right?
Right.
But you know that if a level gets busted, so see how that 2292 and that 2286, they came underneath. If you look underneath overnight, right, you can see you got you did not get the no demand engulfing bar with a triangle up. You just got the algo with a triangle up, and
Yeah.
it was kind of stunted, right? But it's also right at London Open. But now you come
Yeah.
down and you can see the formula that works on this. No demand,
Yep.
engulfing
Same thing.
bar. That's 76 to 87. That's every two contracts. That's $1,000 a contract, right?
Was that during London? I think I actually took that. Nice. Yeah.
That was during London. Beautiful
Early in
trade.
London. Yeah. I got that trade too.
So
Yeah.
remember, if they don't recoup this right away, it becomes resistance, right? So then
See,
you'll see.
this is where I missed it because I okay. Okay.
So now you got no demand again, yellow diamond this time, triangle
Mm-hmm.
down. That's the other. I mean, literally, you got 1,000 one way and 1,000 the other way in terms of
Totally, totally.
P&L.
And like I said, in my mind, I'm getting again, and this is probably because I'm used to approaching a day with a direction in mind from a swing trader point of view. And so I'm still learning, since we're using a scalpel and not a shovel, that like you can these same areas become turning points within the day. Even though they might have been identified as a long location, like get under here and you can be long. Well, reject it and you can be short.
Right, absolutely. I agree 100%. So what I want you to what I want you to see is that this is becoming clear resistance, and when you're getting the combo of algos that we're looking for, so it didn't give it to you here, which is all
Okay.
right. It didn't give it to you, but you can see clearly once that level's broken, if it's not recouped, it gets busted, right? So this becomes
Yes.
the next long. Now look down here. What are we looking for? Same algo setup again, right?
Right
Exact
there.
same algo
Mm-hmm.
setup. So it's
Mm-hmm.
no demand, no supply.
Yep.
Again, that this
Boom.
entries here is roughly 69 to 76, so not quite
Yeah.
$1,000, but pretty good. No
Yeah.
setup here, but now again you're seeing, right? So I wouldn't continue shorting in here because we're already in prime location for a long. I would
See, and
stop,
that's what I'm missing. Okay, I see it now. I see that now.
right? And this is what we're looking for next. Like so, this again, this gets harder in the afternoon. The extensions get smaller and smaller, enough to scale off. And then it
Yeah.
just, so now we're looking for the long down here. So remember, what are
Right.
we looking for when it's just in a free fall? Either we want to get above the wave to the low,
Okay.
or, right, we want to get the no demand. We want this
Yep.
to repeat over and over again, particularly in
Right.
Russell, right? So we're
Yeah. Yeah. It
looking,
works. Yeah.
there's nothing there yet.
No.
And then that's the
Not
close.
quite.
So not, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact, the only thing that fired out was because we didn't get a long setup here, is they stuffed it with a short setup right over here to the downside.
Oh yeah.
So again, the further you trade into the day, the lower the odds are that you'll continue making money. Number one, you're fresher in the morning. You have better
Yeah.
focus. You were up late trading last night. I
Yep.
strongly suggest you cut the number of trading hours you put in there. You're just not missing that much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The other part is the other part that's so that's one piece, right? So let's go back to ES for a second. So we know that this
Okay.
process works. So
Oh yes, absolutely.
your larger rotations are going to come underneath those green lines that I post up every night, right?
Right. Right.
So when we look at ES and we look at the same concept in ES, if you'll have the discipline to go, okay, so here's my ES chart. Let me find it. So if you look at the ES chart, if you would have just gone today and say, hey, I need above 45.89 or 45.61, everything else is a scalp. But not only that,
Yeah.
look where you were coming off from that. So let's go back to that. We know we need
Okay.
45 below 45.61. Where's my ES chart? Here we go.
Right. Yeah.
So here's our 45.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Look at that. Mhm.
So you can see early in the day, we get below it right at the first thing in the morning, right?
Yep.
So now you got
Yep.
to ask yourself, so that was a perfect entry, right?
Yeah,
Again, look
absolutely.
at the algo fire, no demand. Look at that. We got green diamond algo, no demand, triangle up, arrow up, like four algos all in one place, and it
Yeah.
launches, right? Now,
Yep.
we also take out the stops from the prior swing, right? And you can
Yep.
see they came back up here and took out the stops one more time. And then what they give you? No demand, yellow diamond, flush. I mean, you
Yeah.
literally could have made your whole money in that first half hour. But if
Been
you
done.
look through the course of the day of where you're looking for that trade, okay, so let's go through and do that. So first of all, remember, you want this to set up underneath, not below.
Under.
Okay,
Yes.
so remember these are 5 point stops from where you're initiating the trade. So most
Yeah.
likely this stops you out. What's the problem with this? First of all, it's not coming off the very edge,
Yeah.
right? It's
That's
not
where I'm
coming off
making
the
a mistake.
edge.
Yep. Yep. I'm taking all of those, and I don't need to.
Right. If you would have just said, "Hey, maybe it'll get set up underneath,"
Yeah.
these go from chop to golden if you wait till they get underneath. And I'll give you an example of that. ES. Hold on a second here. Let me see if I can find this. So yesterday, I'm going to go back to yesterday's chart. Okay, our line in the sand yesterday was 45.64.
Okay.
That was our first area where we were like, hey, this is where. Okay, so that was the first one, and the second one was 45.89. Okay, so
Okay.
when we look at those two areas, right, obviously we opened that and held above 45.64. But let me ask you, what's the first thing that we're looking for in terms of knowing that it's possibly going to roll down?
We would want it to get all the way up to 89.25 and then like get above it and then fall over it with the algo setup.
Well, not necessarily because we're over that 45.64, right? Because we're over that 45.64, now we can go in and go, okay, well, when do we get underneath a wave for the first time?
Uh,
Let's just go look at that.
okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
so we're coming in right here. This is 8:30. We already know we're in potential short territory, right? So this is the
Right.
first
Right.
wave of the day. We know we've got to get underneath here to truly
Yeah.
go lower, right? So we don't
Yeah.
get underneath there. Now we need a new wave to the high. That occurs right here. And remember, we're
Okay.
not using any of the special tricks that we have of other ways of figuring it out, but I'm going to show you in
Right.
just a second. So
Okay.
we move the line up, right? This is now our
Mm-hmm.
line in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're just going to look at it the most basic way, right? So
Right.
now what we need is a new high. We don't get that, right? Not yet.
Uh,
Okay, stop. We don't have an orthodox close underneath yet. We're not set up. Now we do.
yeah.
Underneath 45.77. So remember, we always use that example. Our millionaire trader shorted 45.77, and he's going to close on an orthodox close above. So for those who aren't watching, an orthodox close means the bar that closes underneath simply has no physical contact with the bar that set the wave to the high. That makes sense, right?
It does.
Okay. So now we're looking, right? Nothing, 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 nothing. Comes back up to test. So all those bars right there. See how you
Yeah.
got, so now look, you get speed bar and it gets
Yep.
stuffed with three of these diamond bars right in a row, right? That's
Right,
your
right, right.
that's a so the speed bar followed by a diamond bar, that's a substitute for a no demand followed by a diamond bar. So this is a one bar entry right here yesterday.
Yep.
You
This is
see
what I
it?
thought I was seeing this afternoon, but the location in the reverse with the yellow speed bar, and it was also a no demand or whatever. But it looked exactly the same, but it was in the entire wrong place, going the wrong direction, basically.
Okay, so let's draw this out again. So to make sure, so the important thing isn't that you see it here, it's that you got it.
Hmm.
What was piece number one?
Getting
We
well, I
were
mean,
above a
getting
swing.
under the
We were
wave,
at
right?
or above a swing location. Doesn't matter how far
Yeah.
above, because once you get above
Okay.
that swing location, you're looking for the wave to the high or the wave to the low, which obviously we
Above
point
the
out in
swing
the rim,
location. Okay.
right?
Gotcha.
So if you
Gotcha.
look, it could be hours and hours till that happens, right?
Yeah.
Like this whole
Yeah.
process started in Asia all the way up. But then the next thing you want is you want it to close underneath and then give you the short
Yep.
setup with a controlled risk reward, right? So you can see
Yes.
here it just rolled down on you, and then you'll see each subsequent entry. See as we're pushing
Uh-huh.
back into this. So here's
Yeah.
where the questionable part began. Remember, this is now. What do we know about the wave to the high?
People are trapped up there.
Right.
Longs are trapped.
Longs are trapped, and we're above a key wave, right? So we want to
Yeah.
get this retested. So technically, this didn't get retested. So now let's go and see what the setups were as we were getting retested, right? So
Okay.
I like to do this two ways, right? I like to do it just blindly and see if it works, and then location
Hmm.
wise and see if it works. So if we just do this blindly and we look for the bars with the diamonds on it, okay, so
Okay.
remember, we're underneath our wave to the high,
Yeah.
right? So now it's a one bar stop, right? So it's basically
Yes.
5 points, worst case scenario.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, none of those got stopped by a 5 point stop. We're not looking long. Why are we not looking long?
Because we're in the wrong location and we're under the wave to the high, but not over a wave to a low. And it would, even if we were over a wave to a low at this point, we're in the wrong location.
This still would have been all right, and let me tell you why. Usually, once we blow up an area like we did, like they pushed so far past it the first time back, I can guarantee
Yeah.
you someone was selling that 45.61, so someone's going to buy it the first time, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
But remember,
For
we're
a
focused
scalp.
on shorts now, right? So look,
Yes.
did this one pay you?
That one paid, yep.
Okay, let's go look for the next one. Did this one pay you?
Yes.
Did this one stopped you,
Yeah.
right? Did this one pay you?
That one paid.
Okay. Did this one pay you?
Yeah. Is there not one right before that?
There is, and it didn't get stopped. Or let's make sure it didn't get
It,
stopped.
it would be very close.
Let's put on line 74.79.
Yeah,
As
it's
far as
safe.
a 5 point stop, it didn't come close to getting stopped before you
Oh,
were able to get it to a profit, is
right.
my point. So it went from 74 to not much, 72. You would have gotten 2 points off of it, maybe, right?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have taken the whole thing off there, but that's okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not
no,
all good.
the whole point of this exercise is not did you take all the trades,
Right.
right? The point of the exercise is like this is 10 minutes to the close, right? Like, so I would suggest you're not even trading in this, right? This is
Uh-huh.
right into the close and it fell off. I would suggest you don't even trade it, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
the key to that was the key to this whole thing was within here, okay, within here, this was your original entry at 11:30, right? You're below the wave,
Yeah.
and your entry
Yeah.
is right. So let's erase this so it doesn't look like it's crazy land, all right? So your original entry, right? This is the wave to the high.
Yep.
Your original entry is right here, 72.75. Your stop's 5 points, so that's 77 change.
Yep.
And your maximum favorable excursion down is 60, 12 points. Now that's $500 a contract, Ben.
Right. Yeah, that's
Okay.
good on ES.
Why
Real
do I
good.
want to emphasize that? Why do I want to emphasize that? Because if you will keep taking your best shots, if you'll keep taking your best shots and you will increase size over time, right? You'll have the Russell trades, you'll have the ES trades, you'll have the CL trades, which we'll cover in just a second. Now, what I want to add to the mix that's new is if we get so it's a very specific power bar combination, okay? If you get a
Okay.
power bar up and a power bar down, it comes within three bars of each other. So I don't even know if we
Okay.
get it here. We get it right here. So it became the pivot as well. See how you got, so here I'm going to
Okay.
show you. Power bar up. Power bar up.
Yep.
Power bar down. So I'm going to highlight it.
And these are the blue triangles for anybody not familiar with the algo.
Right. So highlight it. Okay, so you see how they got above it? They use it as support, right? So
Yeah.
you'll notice as soon as they close the nut underneath it, they get the little yellow lines of point of control, backside test, and it's pretty much all over from that point. Right, that became a really pivotal area. So there's situations where we'll get those right on top, and you can use them as an alternative entry. But you could have passed on all that, not had to guess at the high because nothing really set up here from being at the high standpoint, except for one thing. See here so the other thing that I pointed out earlier today is if you get the arrow up, triangle down, arrow up, and it's near the high, if you put your line right against this bar, okay, once you get a bar with a point of control underneath,
yeah,
the backside test of that becomes failure. So that's an advanced trade. But that's how, so you would have done that with smaller size to try to get an anchor. So the idea would have been, let's say you put 2 contracts on here, you get your anchor, you're in location, right? And then and so then when we come back over here for the backside test, so now you're anchored, remember you're anchored back over here with this bar right here, backside tests, right?
Yeah.
So you're anchored on that bar. And now when you're adding, right, so that's all the way up at 45.86. Now when you're adding, even if you did 1 contract there, right?
Yeah.
Now you're adding 2 more contracts over here. Now you're at 3 and your break even sitting like at 77. And now you get 3 full contracts to roll that down. That's called stacking the trade for the bigger P&L payday, right? And you can see that worked beautifully and gave you the long signal right there, right into the low. At least you would have covered it even if you didn't flip it and take the long. Does that make sense?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Now with the advanced one, it's got to be an arrow, right? It can't just be a triangle. Do I understand that correctly?
With the advanced one, it needs to be an arrow. Yes.
That's what I thought. Like a reversal, basically.
The triangles will have a higher failure rate and you'll get a lot of stops. You really want the triangle. Like this is a good example here. See how the triangle printed here on this bar?
Yep.
So here, triangle with the arrow down.
I see it.
So you can see that's the line in the sand. And see how they came right back to it, and they just don't get underneath that bar. It's a really tight stop. I would use a 4-point stop on it, but it's a really tight stop for continuation back to the upside. And you'll see that all over the place on these charts when they come back to it. Like here's another example. So see how you have these double, they're pretty much in the exact same place.
Yeah. And the POCs are too.
And see how they just can't get it closed underneath the bar. And it's a scalp, right? You really don't want to go long here. You're actually set up for a short in this situation. You're hoping for a short, but you know they're probably going to bounce there. Same thing here, the first time back on this bar. See that? Once they get above it, they get to close above it. See how they're going to come back to it and get a continuation up. It's a really good trade. Like I can go almost anywhere on this chart and go, hey, once I get above this. So see that? Once I get above that arrow printing, I've got like, there's just almost nowhere I can't go. We can go back a couple of days and look just to show you it's not a recent phenomena. So
and you said it's got to be, the POC must get over the bar, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Like a new point of control needs to get over the target bar.
Right, or under, like you want to
or under it. Yeah. It needs to continue and print
and you want that backside test relatively quickly, right?
Okay.
So like you don't want all this time to pass. You want it to be,
Uh,
you really want it pretty darn quickly. Let me see if I can find another example. Like this is a good example here where there's the arrow down,
yep.
right? There's arrow down, there's the close
Okay.
above, and you can see how it tested back. And the key there is not to get, so that's again the last hour, but the
Yeah.
key is again, from where you take this trade, you're going to want to put
Hmm.
about a 4 point stop on the
Okay.
trade. It's going to be about a 4 point stop to keep you safe, but you'll see repeatedly it just puts you, and it doesn't always, the key to it is it doesn't always work, right? Where we really want this to show up is at the low. So see how this is all digging into the low here at 10 o'clock? So now we
Yeah.
know, hey, we got this bar right here. See that?
Yep.
Okay, so all that is trying to get continuation off the high. I really don't want that. As a matter of fact, I want the opposite. I want to try to grab
Hmm.
shorts off of those once they make sense, right? But see down
Hmm.
here, I'm into key long location, right? Look at the stretch
Right.
on that thing.
Right.
This tells me, hey, these guys are really jamming into the low. That
Hmm.
arrow down, yeah, please come back and test me. So that'd be a
Okay.
2075 against the 15 against the 1675
Once it backside tests.
once it backside tests.
Right
And then
there.
you can even wait for the algo to fire if you want against it. But look at the lift
Sure.
you get
Sure.
off of that,
Yeah.
right? So
What I like about that, honestly, is that you don't have to have amazing reaction time. That trade either develops or it doesn't.
well, where a lot of people get into trouble is they keep trying to make momentum work for them. They want it, and we've got a way of doing that, right? But the key stretches come from not having to trade momentum and capture the terms, right? Like when you look up here at 9 in the morning, right? So see that consolidation on top of the all the other tools that we have up there.
Yeah.
So see this is so look, there's no triangles printing up here that we're getting below. See that? So you finally
Yeah,
get
I
this
do.
wave to the high and you get this triangle with the
Uh-huh.
arrow up right there. See that?
Uh-huh.
So you're like, hey,
Uh-huh.
that's the wave to the high, right? It's 9:13 a.m. So I'm going to start searching. So I'm going to ask questions. What are the ways that I can grab trades out of this situation, right? So the first
Okay.
thing I'm going to do is go, okay, we got above the wave to the high. That was the
Yeah.
last really big push over here. As a matter of fact, you got an arrow down and an arrow up, but we're near the high. So the first thing I would have expected is this, hey, I got above, right? If I took this on the backside test here, right? So that's 43, so that's 39, right? So that would have
Okay.
stopped you right out of the gate. Again, I don't like trying to take the trade for momentum. I like to take the trade for reversal. But the important thing is,
Yeah.
even if it stops you out, you're like, remember the thesis: the latest and greatest information is the most important. So we don't care what went on back over here. This is all old information, right?
Yeah.
So this was
Yeah.
the most current, and then this became the most current. So follow me on this, right?
God. Okay.
So think about the psychology behind this, even if you don't understand how the algo is set up, which I don't explain it, so you wouldn't, right? So this is the last piece of important information. This is where the last push came from, right?
Okay.
If I get underneath
Right.
that guy, I would expect failure. Again, 4 point stop.
Mm.
Now look
That's
at the
beautiful.
return. And it
Yeah.
set
That's
up, and it triggered into that with the algo. You get a triangle up immediately followed by a engulfing bar with a yellow algo on it.
the other
That is
direction. Yeah.
so money. That is
Uh,
so money, right?
okay.
And so,
Okay.
and then if you look, what are we doing? Look to the right. What did we just do? Here's the high of the prior day.
Yeah.
That's the high of
So
the
yep.
prior day. So we have a
Yep.
wave to the high above the prior day, right? We got this arrow up pushing. Now I can use the algo and look at that trade. That's an entry from whether you took it on the backside test or you waited for the algo or a combination there. Let's just say you took it at 45.40, right? That's a roll straight down to 45.15. That's 10, 20, 25 points or $1,250 per ES contract.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you should be making detailed notes, and in your journal, you should have a journal going above key locations and below key locations. This would have been a key location on this day, on this 1022. This is a
Right.
key location, and I want them to establish above just like this. I don't want them to just get above. This is fine for scalping, but once they
Okay.
get above, right, and then I get below that wave. Now notice every algo to the downside. Now that we're below, right?
Hmm.
Triangle up, speed bar, algo underneath.
Yeah.
Bam. Right?
Yeah.
Up.
I gotta ask that one. That's really nice. I didn't. Yeah, I don't have that one, and I think I need to start studying that. That looks like it works very, very nicely when it's in the right spot.
It does. And now look, here's the wave to the low.
Okay. Yep.
What do you get right here?
Right there. That's our classic no demand engulfing. Yeah.
Right. And then what else?
Again,
And then look to the left. What do you see to the left?
to the left. So we got, oh yeah, there's that arrow again, and he's getting backside tests. Look at that right there.
There's our arrow. He's getting backside tested. You're getting
Wow. I mean, look at that engine too. That's beautiful. I love how it's always nice to have a trade where you once it actually develops, you're right relatively quickly. And that seems to be the case with that one because you're getting it on the backside test rather than the push.
right.
It's a pretty relaxing trade, honestly.
So what I want you to do is relax and calm. So I know you've only been in the room a couple of weeks, right?
Right.
So every day I'm posting these charts of where our key areas are, right? So let me erase these lines. Okay, if you don't get to, well, no, that's not the chart I wanted, but I can tell you the key lines would have looked like this.
Right.
Like we would have had lines here, here, and today would have been here, which we didn't get to till later, right? So I want you to relax. Like tonight, I want you to look underneath 45.28, right?
Just wait for
And
that.
then,
Yeah.
right. So this part isn't the magic part, right? This just tells us where to look. Just wait for that. But then also know, like, so look at our CL trade today, right? So here, I haven't changed CL. So here's our levels from CL today. Again, as Ben can tell you, these were not made up before the video. These were posted last night.
Right. Yeah.
Actually,
No, they were there at two in the morning. I think it
2
was.
in the morning. Yeah, I was up a little bit. I was up a little bit late. Okay.
I was up. It's all right.
So these were our key levels. These were our key levels for today, right? So
Right.
when you look this morning, right? So this is pre-market. We're not trading. But this right here, this right in here at 9:30 a.m., right? We're underneath our 83.32. And actually, we caught this 8 o'clock. This is right at market open. I apologize. And you can see also overnight, they were key levels, right? So let's go look at that 83.32 and see what it developed. Let's just get rid of everything over here. So here's 83.32. Oh, I know what I've got going on. Okay, so I'm going to put a yellow line. We'll make it blue. Okay, so looking at that other chart, once I know I'm underneath here, right? So CL has some different qualities to it. I know I can pretty much take any no demand engulfing bar or the engulfing bar with a diamond followed by a triangle up. The majority of them will work. So if you look all the way, so I'm going to go all the way through here starting at 3 in the morning, right? Because that 83.32 is super key for me, right? So this doesn't work, doesn't set up the way we wanted it to, right?
Not quite.
This doesn't set up the way we wanted it to, right?
Nope.
Nothing above, nothing in here set up the way we wanted it to. And again, where it did, it set up above and not below. So this is the algo with the diamond on top, followed by the triangle up. We're looking for that. That's 8:16 a.m. That's our first trade this morning.
Yep.
Right? And I'm pretty much just taking it on a 1-bar stop. So we were long right there. That was our long at 8:16, 83.09. And if you look, that one trade, right, pushes back into the value area. That's 83.09 to 84.25. That's $1,000 a contract. right? And obviously some of us are taking scales at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 cents.
Right.
Some of us, like Joyce, are scaling all the way along, right? If you look when you come over here, right? So now we're looking underneath that 8309 again. So what do we get at 8309 again?
Triangle. Yep, right there. Engulfing triangle up.
With the algo, that's important.
Yes, with the green
right?
diamond. Yeah.
And then again, what did you get again? That's another rip from 82.90 something all the way to 84. It's another $1,000 a contract, right? And then if you look at the rest of our structure above the wave to the low, right? So look at what you see here again, because this is important, right? So if we erase everything on top of that, what do we got right here into the lows?
Let's see. So there's the arrow.
There's the arrow. Put a line on that bar.
And you even, yeah, look at that.
So there's a reason why you're making more money, right? Is because, so you're going through a transition, Ben. You've come in from where you had an old method that was 50-50, right?
Right.
We're moving you to a method that's 60-80. Plus the RR is there, which, as you know, I pounded how important that is.
Right.
Right. And if you'll sit back and wait for those few pieces to all come together, right? And if you'll look up on top where we push to the high, okay, so over here we don't get the this is the last triangle up, right? Arrow up.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So highlight it.
Arrow.
Because what do you know once you get underneath it?
Once you get underneath it, you should get a backside test, right?
Now,
and then you can.
This one didn't fall away, right? This one did not fall away, right?
Right.
It took you to 10, 20 cents profit, but nothing incredible, right? Then you get,
maybe enough. Yeah, a little off, but not the whole thing.
So now you got this one right over here.
Okay. Yep.
So this one kind of sucked for us. I'm going to tell you why. It didn't really get an orthodox close underneath. The point of control came in underneath, and it didn't backside test it for the short.
Oh yeah.
So you just didn't get. Hold on a second. I have someone asking about a coaching availability. Okay, so now you got that location.
Right.
Now you got backside test. Now and it repeats in all these products, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And now look at that.
Look at your downside move, and then it's again over here. Look, it reverses over here. Let's see if we get it over. So here's where it would have busted you. So there's always going to be a stop somewhere in there, right? So why do you think that? Let me ask you. When you look at this, why do you think this one busted on the backside?
Okay, let's see.
So look at everything you got there.
Right. We are way low, and we're looking, and so this is the setup would be a short off of a backside test, but you're already, you've already fallen away and fallen pretty far into another important location. You're actually above the wave to the low too. You're above the wave to the low.
Yeah, and we're looking for the longs, right? This 83.
We should be looking for longs in that situation. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. So you want so that's how you turn that on and off. So that's why it comes back to this, right? We're either looking for big stretches away from this location to grab trades or longs into. And you don't have to overcomplicate it, right? You don't have to grab this trade over here. You can if you want to. I'm all right with it. But that 84, 86 will provide the better location, right? So now tonight I'm hoping to get, I'm not going to trade Asia, but if I did, underneath 82.55 for a pushback where? Right now, 84.66, and then this will become our other key location right over here, because that's where the shorts have to be sitting for tonight, right?
Of course. Yes.
That's where the shorts. So we want the shorts taken out, because once we get them taken out, it's just a natural product of how the market works. And then so the algo, if you think about it, the algo is telling you specific details, right? But it's like somebody tells you let's say you're going to watch the Las Vegas Raiders, right? And they go, dude, I got tickets to the Las Vegas Raiders game, front row 50-yard line for the next game, and you show up tonight for the next game. Well, their next home
Yeah.
game's in 2 weeks from now, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And you're gonna
Yeah.
sit there a long freaking time waiting for that, right?
Yeah. Right.
So it's process from a small time frame, process to a big time frame. So here's the question. What's the information going through your head when you're taking the bad trades? What are you telling yourself? Like, so let me share what I told myself as I was building this process and learning this process, and maybe it'll help you.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
So one of the things I would tell myself, one of my really big C game things is when the market's going straight down like this,
Yeah.
something my committee members tell me is, well, it just can't keep going down.
Sure.
Right? Now I know other people have committee members that tell them it ain't going to stop going up. I don't have that committee member. My committee member is always like, it's always going to reverse. Right? But some people have the opposite. But either one is just as bad.
Right? No, it's true. It's true.
So let's say I had I think it's going to reverse no matter what. I have a couple of options that I could follow. So then this is how I learned it. I have a couple of options I can follow. Okay. So let's play in real time, right? And I looked at this. So it's not fair to go, well, I took this one and I didn't take this one. I somehow miraculously knew that this algo was going to stop and this algo was going to work, right? That doesn't hold much water with me, and it shouldn't hold much water with anyone, right? Because you're really starting to ask, well, how do you hold distinction? Now, I will say the line here was 83.32, and I wanted to get underneath it. But even with that, technically that was underneath 83.32, right? So the reality is if I had to catch the bottom, I took a stop there. And I would have entered right here and taken a 15-cent loss. That's fine. That's got to be okay. So the first thing is the loss, are you structured size-wise to take this trade properly? Number one question you should ask, am I structured sideways? Am I structured sideways to take this trade correctly? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, and yeah, it's definitely something that I've had to learn over time, but thankfully was able to develop some pretty good process for that part as a swing trader, and that hasn't really changed. It's just a matter of adjusting numbers, but it's still the same, mindset.
Okay, so then when the next trade comes up, remember I'm underneath key areas, so I'm willing to take these engulfing bars, and I get the volume bar. On both of these, I had the volume bar. The biggest volume bar comes within the last bar or second to last bar. So they both qualified, right?
Okay.
So even though I didn't get a no demand bar, I got the volume bar. I get our little magic golden diamond. I'm long. Again, 15-cent stop. Now this time, I'm gold, right? Clearly, I rip it all the way up, and I have a potential 100-tick trade. So 15 cents on loss, 100 ticks on the win. Obviously, not everyone holds all the way through that, but that makes sense, right? Next, I get above the wave. This becomes the wave to the low right here, right? Underneath my key level from the charting day, right?
Yeah.
So now what do I want? I want to come in and I want, what is this?
Yep, there's that friend that likes to bounce.
That's the guy that pushed really hard into the low, right?
Yeah, right.
I want to be long against that guy. So I have two choices here. I could have either scaled up here and gone, boy, I hope I get back in here to get the trade. I could have just taken it blindly against that level and added. Or I could wait for my first algo to fire, which would have been, technically you could have either said it was this or this, but the important part is the stop needed to go on a point of control underneath this bar, even an orthodox close underneath, right? So basically I'm going to use 15 or 20 cents through here to grab this trade, and I'm going to be a little more generous because remember I'm already anchored down here, right?
Yeah.
And then if I really want to get it pinpoint, I'm going to target the point of control of that bar at 83.15, probably run it by 2 cents and put another 15-cent stop. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to be long here. If I didn't scale, I'm going to double up here, and I'm going to pick a net from the double up at a 15-cent stop, and it should bring me to either a slight loss, net break even, and then when I get this next 50-cent rip, it's going to be on double size.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So your risk is not really increasing in that situation. I mean, it might be, but what am I trying to say? Your expectancy is paying for any extra risk.
Absolutely. So that's why I want you to that's why I want you to increase your knowledge base and your journal.
Yeah.
And I want to keep you a separate journal above and below key locations, right?
Okay.
And then watch how many stops you end up taking outside of those key locations. No matter what alternative you come up with, like what I want you to know is that when you're underneath those key locations, is that you can
Hmm.
actually lean back and let everyone else squirm. Let everyone else come in and pay you on this. Let everyone else come in and pay you. You don't do the squirming. Let someone else do the squirming.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It does.
That's why I want you to. That's why I want you to watch that so carefully. Okay, that process repeated all day long, repeated in ES, NQ, Russell. So I'm gonna let you fire away with some freestyle questions. We're
Sure.
we're about at the end of the hour, and I just want to make sure you get all your questions answered before we wrap it up.
Let's see. I mean, yeah, that definitely covers. I was assuming that I was making a mistake on an execution basis, but I actually don't think that's the primary issue. It's that I'm just not being patient enough. And I think that my committee members in my head want that continuation trade because that as a swing trader with focus on momentum, there's a sense that if we've been going higher and we're seeing somewhat of a pullback, my instinct is to look for a long setup. But the truth is on the when you're so magnified on trading within the current day, you can't just assume that because it went up last hour, it's going to go up. Again, it really depends on where you are location wise. But let's say that you had a long space between two locations. Are there certain algo setups where you feel confident taking that first pullback? Like for instance, let's say you've identified that you're in a trend day. I know that those are like generally harder to trade, but how are there
I don't
certain algos
worry.
I should
Here's
avoid?
why I don't worry about it, Ben, because I can't make the mental shift from trend day to non-trend day. I just wait
Okay.
till it gets to an area that exhausts, and I look for the roll the other way, like we've gotten the last 2 days.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely we have.
or
Absolutely we have.
or
So
if I
you're not
can,
even looking for that pullback entry like I might look for on a daily chart.
well, what I would do on the intraday, so let's go to that trend day. What I would do if I was looking for that continuation entry is I'd go find where the down arrow is and
Okay.
try to grab a trade on that. But it's not as easily said as done. Like what you need to do is get the lowest ones, and they just didn't, like in this case.
Yeah.
So this is, see how they're parallel right here, which is huge. They're just pushing
Mhm.
really hard here.
Okay.
But it's on these two bars right here, and they didn't get back to them, right?
They just never even got there. There were so many people short basically that they couldn't even get in there,
And
most
you
likely.
gotta remember getting back to these, right?
Yeah.
That's would have been where your prime location was, and then you could have said, well, what about this? Well, the problem is that's going to jam you. That's going to jam you right there because it's the older information. We want the newest information,
Ah,
right?
gotcha. Because we had some since then, those guys they're really no longer trapped.
Right. So here's latest information. So if you're looking for the continuation, this is what I would have done
Okay, there we
here,
go.
all the way up
There we go.
here,
Okay.
and I would have
Yep.
taken it here.
Right, because we have
And now
no
you
reason
see
to think at this
exactly
point that it's going to exhaust. Okay,
right.
okay.
So there's your entry all the way at 1039, but it's up there, but it's still 84.27, almost to 85, I believe, is where it finally
Yeah,
gets to.
this is exactly what my question was about. Is what about a situation like this where there's no evidence that it's exhausting. You're not below a wave to a high. You haven't yet rejected at a prime location. You know it's long, but you don't just want to buy it.
Right.
Not with leverage.
And why I'm so
So,
excited is we really would have been long from all the way down here, right? So I'm not
oh,
worried
of
about that
course.
up here because I've already nailed it down here, right? I've already
Yeah,
nailed it
yeah.
in, and I've
No, I
gotten
agree
my
with you.
40, 50, 100 ticks, and I'm ready to just either I can shut down for the day because I've made my money,
Right, right.
and I find it really hard personally to work out all the ins and outs of the market all day long, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would just wonder. how much fatigue or exhaustion you get
Right.
through the course of the day. So that's why we're making it even simpler. So I want to go back to this. You should be printing out these charts and noting and lining up. Like today, you should line up this 83.32 and then go line up with all the trades that set up underneath there. And there was nothing wrong with looking for a short up there at 84.25. Like I said, it'll usually reject the first time underneath. But what we really
Yeah,
wanted was above. We wanted to get above
of course.
above that,
Makes
and it
perfect
just
sense. Makes perfect sense.
right, and it just didn't do it during the U.S. session. So,
Okay.
at any rate, I don't have anything else. I think you're doing very well, and the reason why you're doing very well is you're letting go of old habits that have been costing
Yeah.
you money, and you're
Yeah.
migrating to new habits that'll pay you money, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's a matter of being focused on the right information and not getting hyper focused on, oh, there's a signal that I'm allowed to trade. You know what I mean? I think I have to back off a little bit and, like you said, relax and recognize, well, is this even a place I should be trading at all? It
Right.
doesn't, and just kind of completely ignore. And I've got, we have multiple products that we can trade. So I mean, if ES is just bouncing around in the middle and it's nowhere near a key location, I just need to stop watching it basically and stop thinking, oh, there's a setup that we are supposed to take, because if it doesn't line up to the location, it's not worth taking. There's probably something else that'll come along, or maybe another product that's setting up soon.
I agree, and it's an endless stream. Like even if you had a day where nothing's set up, right? Like there's
Yeah,
almost never a day where nothing sets up. Every day we've had
pretty rare.
big trades, right?
Yeah,
Let that piece, you put in your time, you're putting in your money. Make sure that you give that element of the gift of location so that
yeah,
you can get paid, and then you'll start to relax. You're like, hey, I can get 50, 100, 500, $1,000 out of this trade, right? Like I
right.
really can. Like it's not voodoo or guessing or mixture. It's like it really keeps repeating on our process. And if you have a
Hmm.
bad day, just remember every once in a while we'll get stopped, right?
Yeah,
Just
of
take it
course.
take it in stride.
Yep, yep, yep. I'm definitely getting better at that. I think, as a swing trader, it's a lot. You just don't trade as often, and so you might take a day where you lose twice or something, and or you get into a position and you get stopped out before the day even is over, and you do get used to that. But as a day trader, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything wrong because you took a stop in the morning and then something worked, and then you took the exact same trade setup and you got stopped again. You might not have to adjust anything.
The
Like,
first thing you want to ask
that's
is, am
just
I
part of
trading at
the pitch.
location when that occurs? Am I trading at
Uh-huh.
location? If I'm not
Okay.
trading at location, so like for tomorrow, we know above 84.25, 84.86, 85.40, and 85.61. Those are targets to the upside, but B, they're targets
Hmm.
for potential rollback downs and profit taking. Tomorrow,
Yes.
tonight, we're looking below 82.55 for long setups on CL, right? And then I'm sure there'll be some other
Okay.
levels. I need to go in there and plug them in for overnight.
Sure.
But we're looking for long setups. Um, and actually, they will be lower because they'll be below 82.40 ish. But whatever, that's where we're
Hmm.
looking for the opportunities tonight in Europe, Australia, and into U.S. session tomorrow, and then U.S. session will start over, the same level, same process. And once you're getting to work it over and over again, you're like, "Where's the setup? Where's the payday? Let's go and grab it." Go from there.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, like I said, I think every time we do these coaching sessions, I feel like I have renewed focus and new information to kind of try to put it all together. And it's just a matter of really practicing it and practicing that mindset, because it's very easy to there's just so much to gather and so much information firing at you at all times, and to be able to sort through it and just focus on one thing at a time, it really is a process. And I think that's what's really new for me. In the past, I knew some setups and some whatever you want to call it, patterns, or watch the DOM, do certain things, but it wasn't, I have a setup and this is the steps that I'm supposed to go through and this is the process that I have to follow. So that has actually made things a lot easier. It's just a very different way of trading. and it feels a lot more professional, a lot more structured, and I'm able to tell very quickly when I review my trades whether or not I'm doing something right or making a mistake. And that's something that I did not have access to when I didn't have a process that was trusted.
Well, good. Well, I think you're doing a great job, and I would expect to see your P&L and your capital starting to raise, and it just takes a little bit of time to integrate it. It's one thing to see the playbook, it's the other thing to integrate it into your head, and that's where the
Yes.
practice and the repetition comes from. So, anyways, I'm
Yeah.
going to go
Yep.
have a great afternoon.
Cool.
You
Cool.
have a great afternoon. I'll see you hopefully tomorrow in the morning.
Appreciate it, Simon. You betcha.
Have a great night, Ben.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Ben is going to do okay.